I'm dismayed by where my relationship is, longtime relationship is with Greg Cody on this show and otherwise. Did any of you guys hear the conversation that Greg and I were having moments ago about his list of catchphrases? Was anyone close enough to listen to what was happening there?
I listened, and it made me feel really uncomfortable.
Did it make you feel bad for me that I'm sitting there begging Greg Cody to share his 24th catchphrase on our show and embargo his 23rd for his show because we have a killer thing that works with him where we can go through all his catchphrases and just have one more? Tony, why are you shaking your head?
Because that's not how this works, Dan. Okay, this is a man of process. This is a man of words. This is a man of dignity. And you're going to ask him to forego his own stuff to just get your little fix.
It is
no,
a classic,
no, sir, absolutely not.
It's a classic Dan move of like, that's awesome, let's do more of that. But then what would we do next week?
Yeah.
Because then there would be no anything to update.
I think you need to just acknowledge this was a great idea by the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody.
Thank you. They get me.
I
was setting them up, but whatever. And you just have to promote that. Get the rundown when we get it and not force it onto your show because straight up, Dan, you want to steal this.
Yeah.
You're trying to steal it for our show, and I get it. It's good. It's good. But you can't jump ahead of the podcast that invented it. You got to wait for that to play out.
How much would you pay my dad to do number one on this show?
No, I don't want number one. I don't
He's been
care.
doing number two for 15 years.
I acknowledged yesterday that I was wrong about how great a bit that was, and I called him after the show yesterday to laugh about the fact that he has successfully executed what is going to be a months-long joke. But the conversation, if you'd heard me begging him for number 24 just so that I could make him read quickly the other 26 beforehand, what you would have heard is him say, but I don't know what number 24 is yet. Like
right.
Part of the whole thing
is
that it's – well, that's the argument. The argument wasn't that he wanted it for his own show. It was that, no, this needs to be spontaneous. And I'm like, you really don't know what the last 24 are, do you?
I don't recall a top whatever type of list that is spontaneity. Usually thought goes into these things.
Well, that's the beauty of it, though. And Tony used the word process. He gets it. He understands. And you asking me to provide number 24 right now, it's like asking Julia Child to take a souffle out of the oven before it's done. You don't do that. You just don't do it.
I don't think people appreciated enough yesterday that Greg Cody, after summoning Casey at the bat as the most famous baseball thing ever written in 1888, he then went to the original prank show and had the perfect show host name, Alan Funt, to rhyme with punt.
Yes, Funt.
You don't have a lot of options throughout history that will allow you to find, other than Helen Hunt, something that rhymes with punt. Funt.
There aren't many.
Funt is.
I already forgot yesterday's. What were yesterday's?
The others, they all learn from me.
Oh, and there's like, don't go showering.
Try to please me.
Purdue was a number one seed as
Kirk Cousins look like J.C. Penney.
Looks like his back, Jack. It's bracket time, so make a chart. Does Jeff Van Gundy look just like the Queen of Hearts? Does Adam Silver look like a torpedo bat? Let's get Mark Sadness back on track. Looks like his back, Jack. When the donuts are in front of you, does Andy Reid say, don't mind if I do? Adam Silver looks like a Q-tip thing.
he's looking at it.
Or frying a bag of onion rings. When Timmy laughs until he hacks, that's how you know that looks like his back, Jack. Let me hear you say. Looks like his back, Jack. Let's keep says Mr. Bond, welcome to Tangier. Jeff Fisher looks like shotgunning beers at a NASCAR track. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Looks like his back jack.
Northwestern is gone from the tournament.
Jim Harbaugh looks like a casket salesman.
Fairleigh Dickinson, 16 seed, repped by
Mike McDaniel looked like a college student on a full ride scholarship for esports.
What a run.
Looks like his back jack.
Chris, if not for defending champion, MLS champion Inter Miami, perhaps for the World Cup, soccer is back, Jack. Soccer is back, Jack, because we have to get ramped up for soccer here. The world is coming to town and coming to the United States, and it's going to be a giant event. And we have the defending MLS champions here. Whittingham, I've been trying to reach Whittingham. Let me do this here.
Chris Whittingham is a fancy lad.
My wife has been calling him Weddingham because he's engaged. How many of us are going to end up going to that wedding? Because I don't believe a group of us have been to a wedding in a really long time. So I would assume that this wedding would get a contingency from here.
Dude, this is so classic, Dan. I mean,
Two-season situation. He thinks everyone's getting invited.
Dan, you don't do that, dude. You don't do that. You don't reveal it. I know it's on like his IG or whatever, but you just let people like
It's
Greg
on his
Cody.
IG.
You have a shining monument right next to you. Well, not shining. You have a monument right next to you as to why you don't do the things that you did right now. It's like you're talking to a bunch of people right now in this other studio. Odds are, and I don't know, but odds are maybe not everybody's invited. You're going to make some people feel like some type of
I won't be
way.
invited, but that's cool. Blessings to him and his
Now,
family.
did he text me, asking me for my address? Yes. But that's fine. Maybe
Once
not
you
everyone
go
will
on
be so
IG
lucky.
with this announcement, you can't be bringing that on me and complaining about me there.
All right, then let's focus on the second part. Assuming everybody's invited to the wedding.
Yeah.
Now, I'm invited, but everyone else might not be.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I was thinking to myself, geez, I don't really assume I'm going to be invited.
No, you
to
won't
his
be.
wedding. Okay, thank you for that.
What is the last wedding that the show went to as a group? Because it was mine.
Yeah.
I was the last one to have a group of people from here together in a place?
Yeah, when I juggled for Dan Patrick.
Hit him in the nuts with an
hit him in
orange.
the nuts with an orange.
It was pre-COVID. No matter what, it was pre-COVID. But to answer your question, it won't be this one because not everybody's invited, Dan.
My dad and I holding court with Pat Riley. That was a good night.
Yeah, big night. You don't think I'll be invited, huh? To Whittingham's
Whitty's?
wedding? No?
This is awkward.
It's a
See
close
what
call.
you've done, Dan?
I ran into him at a Mexican restaurant a few weeks ago, and we had a Boffo reunion. Like, we hugged.
You mentioned how happy he was to see you.
If he wasn't, he faked it.
It's just a funny way to
A Bofo
when you
reunion?
tell someone else about seeing someone.
That is fun. That is your dad.
It wasn't I was so happy to
Your
see him.
dad's narcissism is so profound that all of us would say it was nice to see someone else. The way he frames it is he was really happy to see me.
I mean, he was. I don't lie.
But you weren't?
But usually you would
Yeah.
say, I'm really happy to see him. I was really happy to see him is the way anybody else in the world would say that.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean,
Greg, anybody in the world who just ran into Chris Whittingham and they reunited and both of them were happy, because I'm assuming both of you were happy.
Yeah.
The way that they would frame that is, I was so happy to see him, not he was so happy to see me.
okay, he initiated the happiness.
Uh-huh.
Still-
He leaned in for the hug.
Yep.
He initiated the reunion. I did a double take because he's with his family. I don't know his family. Who are these people he's
Who
with?
are they?
You know, I think mom and
They're
dad.
invited to the wedding.
Mom and
A
dad
bunch
and
of
his,
people were
fiance
invited to the wedding.
were there. They were all going to the wedding. But he didn't ask for my address, so I assume I'm not going. Whitty, if you're listening, no hard feelings. It was good of you to see me that night.
And be happy to see him.
Right, I appreciate that.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
Do you know the name of the corporate sponsor on Inter Miami's stadium that they have rushed? And I have to salute them, because I did not think in Miami something could be built anywhere, never mind there next to the airport, in time for a season.
That was my question, because that bridge still isn't finished. And as long as I've been coming to Miami, they've been working on that bridge. And this stadium, I feel like it went up like in the span of a few months.
David Sampson does any number of crazy, willful things, running 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. He has had no greater achievement in his professional life than building a stadium in this town on time and on budget.
You wanted to know the name of Inter Miami's new stadium?
I wanted to know if Amin knew it.
New stadium.
I didn't say that. I said I asked if he knew the new corporate name for the place where Inter Miami is playing. I did not say the new stadium. I asked for the corporate name.
You're asking me for the corporate name of the new stadium?
You're asking for the new stadium.
I did not ask for the new stadium. I asked for the corporate name of the place where Inter Miami is playing. Do you know it?
Yeah,
Wait, hold on. The old one?
I know it.
The new one.
New stadium.
New stadium.
Tell me the name, though.
The new stadium.
The new stadium.
It's new, right? The new
Yeah,
stadium.
it's new.
Yeah.
So I take it you did new?
Oh, hold on. You're asking for the brand name? You want the brand new stadium?
Yeah, well, the reason I'm asking
for the new stadium.
Someone tell me.
The reason I'm asking is because of the wonderful double redundancies here. Because it's not just that it's new stadium and everyone who says it is going to sound like they're stuttering. It's also brand new stadium.
That's right.
Because the brand is new.
What's the new brand?
It's
new.
It's young.
The brand is new, NU.
Mm-hmm.
And I what?
You didn't know. You didn't knew. I got the impression that you didn't knew.
He knew.
You could call it brand new stadium, and you can call it new stadium. I can't believe they got it built. Like, I really can't. You have to understand. We sent Zaslow out the other day in a driverless car, and he went in circles until he ran into a traffic light that didn't work because Miami. It's always something like that in Miami. Tony is right when he says, they have screwed up our traffic in and out of the beach here for many years because they're building an arch no one needs to hold up a bridge that will be needed when all of South Florida is underwater. But they've been building this for so long, it should be easier to build this than it is a stadium near the airport. But you guys are as surprised as I am that Miami's infrastructure is going to get to this game and we're going to have a functioning new stadium, brand new.
I don't know. I don't know if Miami's going to be able to get to the stadium because this was a very aggressive timeline. I'm not surprised that they got it done because we were asking the same exact questions with the Drive Pink, formerly known as Drive Pink Stadium up in Fort Lauderdale, and that thing went up in like what seemed like 7 months. And I'm done doubting the Moss family when it comes to anything. But one thing is very clear. While the stadium looks ready to go now, finally all the seats are installed. It wasn't that long ago that there were no seats installed. Honestly, it was a matter of weeks. The area surrounding the stadium is not quite ready for showtime. And the messaging is already getting out there. Please take public transportation. There is a Metro Rail stop that takes you to the airport that isn't too far away from where the stadium is. But the signs are there that this is going to be a bit of a cluster bleep, at least for match day 1. But the day is finally here.
Well, but it's a reach to say that they finished the stadium before the season. Because
the season's like 2 months old already,
right?
And it's also a reach to say that they finished the entire stadium project because it is an active construction site.
The part that I'm surprised by is they are going to house Messi. Like, that's going to happen. Messi's going to play in a game in Miami in new stadium, and they're going to have achieved this on time.
Lionel Messi.
It's Italian.
The parts of this that Mike has right is, for those of you who do not know this area, before we put that stadium there, between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m., that's the worst place in South Florida to be for traffic. The worst. There is none worse than that. I'll give you some I-95 as a competitor, but around the airport, between 3 and 7, I don't go anywhere and have not gone anywhere for 2 years because I know I'm going to get caught in 2 hours of traffic. This is before you put a soccer cluster bleep doesn't begin to describe what's about to happen here. And while you can say you're done doubting the Moss family, unless they're bringing everyone in by helicopter, that's going to be a nightmare. No one's going to get to that stadium on time.
Well, sure, it's going to be a nightmare logistically, but for the fact that them putting up an entire stadium in what felt like kind of like a blink of an eye, that just talks about their power in building and construction, which they have a massive construction company, which is where they made all their money. And we're talking about the Arch, which is, City of Miami, the Miami-Dade council, and like stuff that's going there that's probably not as fast and not as limber as the Moss family.
Great at construction, not great at construction sites.
Am I saying anything that's incorrect here? And I know we've been talking for a while. Your customer stadium experience doesn't matter anymore. Like, most of these places don't care whether or not you show up to the game. Soccer, not yet there in America, but among our big sports, whether you go or not, they've got their TV dollars and the customer matters less. The people who are going to this game physically will not enjoy the getting there because it's Mike, you love this team. You know this is a special night. These are defending champions. You used to have season tickets until you got gouged out on price. Will you go? And if you were to get tickets, would the thing that kept you from going only be that it's going to take 3 hours for you to get there?
It used to take me 3 hours to get there before, so this is a tremendous upgrade, and I can take the Metro Rail there, and I intend to when I do go to the stadium. I don't have tickets to opening day on Saturday. Those tickets tend to find me a little bit, but if you want to go check out the new stadium, the second match is available for like a pretty fair price, and I think that no matter what, and yeah, I get the worries about it being next to the airport. Thankfully, MLS games aren't during like peak travel times. They'll figure it out, just like they had to figure it out at the Drive Pink, because that was a mess getting to park at the stadium because it was their first time doing that kind of thing. I imagine this will be a mess getting in and out of that stadium, at least for the first couple of weeks, but then it'll find its groove.
Yeah, I'm going Saturday and not looking forward to the traffic.
A little nervous about that.
Yeah, I mean,
guys, Saturday will be fine. It's not rush
I'm more
hours.
just about the infrastructure.
Guys, this is the Miami market. It's inner Miami.
We'll be okay.
The previous stadium where this pro team, this MLS champion, played at was 15 minutes away from Boca Raton. This is huge to have it this close. And yeah, will it be annoying getting in and out? Yeah, not nearly as annoying as driving up to Lockhart Stadium.
So, Dan, you said something that I got to push back on, that, the stadium experience doesn't matter. And I would say, no, it does matter, because that's the stuff you don't have to share, right? You share the revenues, obviously, on the national TV deals. You share the revenues on your local TV deals. That doesn't apply in MLS because it's all through Apple TV.
And it should be noted that attendance is a huge part of the business plan in MLS. They don't have this big booming. We don't know all the particulars of their deal with Apple, but the business model is get people into the stadiums. That was one thing that MLS was really good at. While their TV reach wasn't anything to be impressed by, their stadium capacity, their ability to actually reach diehard soccer fans in this country was always superlative.
But even in the major four sports, attendance is still a huge lifeline, right? One of the parts about the move to shorten an NBA schedule, the big obstacle is because owners don't want to give up those home dates. Because if you look at it, there's a way to do it where the national TV people don't lose any games. You can have the same number of national TV games, which means same amount of inventory, same amount of rights deals, money, but the local deal is the one that will get the haircut. That's not the part where people are saying no, or the owners would say no. They say no because, hey, that's concessions, that's parking, that's how many $1 million they generate every single home game. It's still a huge lifeline for all the major sports.
I think you're using outdated information here. This is not my opinion, though I presented it as mine. I have heard Sampson and Skipper talk about what business people are doing with these streaming dollars on the Sporting Class, and they say that the customer is reduced here who goes to the stadium because of how much money is involved with the high end, that the ticket price on this stuff is not as valuable as the multiples they're getting because they've gotten all these new streams, because all of these owners, when you talk about daily attendance on these games, it pales compared to the 500 million each of these is going to get when you get one expansion team, where they get to share all the money of the $10 billion in expansion money. The dollars are so crazy with television that even your overinflated ticket prices are worth less than they've ever been in the mind of the people who are running these games.
They're not worth as much as the streaming dollars of the TV rights deals, but they're still worth something. You're making it into an absolutism. Like, oh, because we have this money.
I'm doing it because of the pandemic and how it is they were able to do sports without us in the stadiums.
That's not how it's happening, right? Like you are conflating, hey, this isn't quite as big a deal as it once was, with it's nothing. I don't need it at all. And that's not the case. There's not. Dan, if you look across every single major sport, two things are true. Number one, average ticket prices are higher than they've ever been. Number two, the customer experience is way more extravagant than it's ever been. You can't tell me even 10 years ago the things that we see as common in all these stadiums across the country were common 10 years ago. It's not true. The existence of the TV rights money and whatever streaming money, whatever you want to call that, does not devalue the in-game experience. Otherwise, we would do what a G League team did about 20 years ago, which is, hey, we're going to have like 100 seats. We're going to sell the 100 seats for an extraordinary, luxurious experience at a high dollar amount, and we don't care about having an in-arena crowd experience. That's not happening in any of the sports. And so Samson and Skipper can say that because, yes, this thing is getting bigger, but it's like saying, hey, now that I have $500, I don't care about this $100 bill.
Regardless, it doesn't apply to MLS because MLS is still a very young league that is very dependent on people going through those turnstiles.
When you say we're not there, and you're right, I shouldn't be absolute about these things. It's not that the customer doesn't matter at all. It's that the customer matters a lot less. And while you're saying that they're improving the in-house experience, and Mike, you're also right, and I mentioned that in the preface to it when I said soccer is different than our four major sports. When Skipper talks about the Super Bowl being on pay-per-view, all of this stuff within the next 5 years, we're headed there, and you're feeling it now. The way that the customer gets reduced to, hey, you realize that we just need the television dollars and your eyes and your interest. We don't need you necessarily buying our hot dog anymore. We'll charge you the $50 for parking. We're going to keep making it so that your experience at home with sports is better than your experience at the stadium.
I don't think it's too hard to connect these conversations. What Amin is trying to say is when you look up Super Bowl tickets, they're $20,000.
Uh-huh.
Like the ticket prices are increasing, and there is a premium now put on luxury experience, hospitality experience across all major sports because they're trying to get the big money in there. The in arena experience for all the majors has certainly been accentuated recently with all these new stadiums.
I guess what I'm saying to you is when I say again for now, what do you think the beginning of that looks like? If not for we're presently living it. Like if whatever it is you're fearing here, because yes, the Super Bowl ticket is absolutely that expensive. Wait till I put it on pay-per-view and they can get those dollars and see what happens to the ticket price when no one wants to sit at the stadium anymore, because it's what's happening with the television dollars. You can't have all these other oil wells where the companies of the future, Amazon, Netflix, everyone else is competing for your eyeballs as we're sitting there watching NFL on Sunday at home because it's more fun to watch it at home because getting to the stadium is a pain in the ass. I'm talking about, Mike, when it comes to you and your relationship with Inter Miami, and you said public transportation. You are using public transportation in Miami. A whole hell of a lot of people are not. If I had to make it a 3-hour drive for you, all of a sudden your interest in going to the game of the defending champions would be less, I would assume.
I mean, I went for several seasons, and I made that drive once every couple of weeks to watch Inter Miami play, and ultimately I got priced out, and I decided to refocus some of those funds to the University of Miami. But now that they're playing closer, it's something that I'll look at again. I'd want to be able to take my daughter to a soccer game down here. I think the MLS product is enjoyable. I for what it was a prefab stadium, but for what it was, the Moss family and Inter Miami tried to make the hospitality areas something that was impressive, certainly impressive for MLS. I think since this is a permanent structure, I haven't toured the stadium or seen what it's like, but I think that they're putting a lot of effort into that because this is a David Beckham-owned team. They like their VIPs. It's a big part of this whole brand, so I imagine it's going to be impressive. It's going to be covered. It's going to be a cool place to watch a game. It's soccer specific. I'm excited to have a permanent structure in which our champion MLS team can be playing in, and I'm very excited to not be driving 10 minutes outside of Boca Raton for it.
This was not a dream location for them. I think that should be pointed out. Like 8 years ago when David Beckham stood over here at the Perez Art Museum introducing this whole thing and the whole dream, they envisioned a waterfront stadium across the causeway, near the port, near Biscayne Bay, waterfront. They didn't get that, so they built the stadium where they are. But the Moss family, they're expert moneymakers, and they're brilliantly taking advantage of what could be the last year of the Messi era. That's why they rushed to get this stadium built, because they have to grow a fan base. I think the franchise is probably terrified, and rightly so, that when Messi is no longer in uniform, interest in the franchise may go down. And one other thing I would point out is that Inter Miami recently, and fairly quietly, I don't know how much publicity this got, they started an entertainment wing, an entertainment arm of the whole business operation. They've already booked major concerts for that stadium. They plan to be a year-round magnet for crowds. So they know what they're doing in terms of making money.
When you say that, though, and I don't want to worry about 10 years from now, because 10 years from now it's very unlikely that any of this is going to mushroom cloud into what it is we'd all like it to mushroom cloud into. You lose Messi. He signed for much longer than next year, but because they just re-signed him. But what Greg Cody is saying, this part is really interesting to me, the history of this, what they envisioned versus what they got. David Beckham strides in, international soccer, international icon, Miami, glamour and glitz. And I say to him 8 years ago, best case scenario for this. What's the best case in 8 years? He's like, there's no way it's the best player in the world is defending champions, and we've got a new stadium. Where's it going to be? By the airport? Like whatever David Beckham imagined here was not in Boca, it was not in Fort Lauderdale, it was not by the airport. He imagined something glitzy and waterfront because they've delivered on all the things you would need to have the monster event thing that you would want to have going into the stadium. You have the defending champions. You have the best player in the world. You have an event town, and you have a new stadium in the center of an event town. Is this going to be one night, or is it going to be 10 years? Because is it going to be one season, or are they playing for the next 10 years? Because that stadium's going to be there long after Messi's gone.
Look, they were an expansion team, and they had good attendance before Messi. I know you could say, well, that's expansion year excitement, but also it's very far from the customer base they were trying to reach. So I think soccer is always going to have a home down here in Miami. I think there's always going to be people interested in going to see professional soccer. And while Messi is not going to be in that shirt forever, built into the business plan is going out and get somebody that's marketable, that can wear that shirt. It's one of the bigger brands already in the Americas. And while if you asked David Beckham, what's this going to look like in 8 years, he would have been wrong because it took 10 years. He wanted waterfront initially, but I drive by the parcel of land in Overtown in which they were supposed to capitulate and play at, and the airport's way better than that plot of land. So I think they actually spun this into quite a win.
Can I be me maximum here and ask, is this going to affect me getting to the airport?
I think if you're trying to leave on match day, the first match day, they're probably not going to have all that stuff worked out, just the same way that they didn't have it worked out at the formerly known Drive Pink. It takes a couple of weeks for that infrastructure and those logistics teams to get a good read on that, to get a read on traffic flows. But I do think ultimately, not that it's going to be super seamless because it is a part of an airport, but it's not the only stadium that's near an airport. If anything, the airport infrastructure could be spun to actually helping this stadium if done right. I imagine with time it won't be nearly as bad as match day one will be.
Saturday helps. They're fortunate that it's not a weekday night game because that's going to be a problem.
Those really don't exist in MLS unless you're in CONCACAF Champions Cup. Usually most of the games are on weekends, avoiding peak travel times.
The other investment in business and sports that hummed back to life this week was the University of Miami football team, because these are two interesting things trying to get the foothold in this town that the Marlins never have, even with two champions, right? Because when Mike says where you put things, like the customer base that Inter Miami is going to be drawing from, the University of Miami is the closest thing we've ever had down here to a professional team that's not a professional team. Until recently, they were bigger than the entirety of the Panthers. Everything going on, 5 championships, University of Miami football. Mario Cristobal, it can be said now, like he is, the conversation has ended about, is the U back? That's over. It was boring, old for 20 years. It was everybody who said yes was wrong for 20 years. But is the U back? Yes, obviously. Like, that's been answered. And now, is Mike Ryan, is Greg Cody, are you Mensa members? Like, because they have now a quarterback that, to me, when I watched him play, is in the mold of the things you look for in Carson Beck and Cam Ward. Wait, I'm dropping someone in right now who's like very close to being a professional, and I'm letting him run my professional team the way that a quarterback has to run a professional team when he's a veteran, when he's poised, when he's somebody who's played big games, even if they're at Duke. This is what did you see at spring practice?
I saw the guy that I saw in film who's really good at rolling out and throwing a pro throw to the sidelines very accurately. And that's what I wanted to see in person. That's what I saw. I think he'll have the best offensive line and the best wide receiver room he's ever had. I mean, they took Duke's leading receiver and they added him to this room. And last year we were really worried about the receivers, and that depth got tested, especially when Daniels went down. The receiver room is really impressive here. Mensah's exactly who I thought he would be. Jackson Cantwell is a freak. Now, I don't think that the offensive line is going to be the same or as good as last year's, but it's still going to be the best that Mensah's ever had. And I think the coolest part is seeing the community take to Malachi Toney. Malachi Toney and Cam Ward, he was the number 1 pick, but he came in from Wazoo. He didn't have this fanfare. This is the biggest star that I've seen at Green Tree in my adult life. The way that kids look at Malachi Toney, the way that high school recruits that are maybe 2 years younger look at Malachi Toney, like, there's something there. He's tapped into something with this community because if you're familiar with his story, this guy's been a local football legend for like 8 years. People have been talking and whispering about baby Jesus and sharing highlights of baby Jesus. He's a prodigal son, right? And he believed in this process the way that Jeremiah Smith didn't. And to see people whip out their phones and shush people when Malachi Toney has this presence around them, that's a type of energy that I haven't seen at Green Tree in a very long time.
Yeah, they may have to pay to keep him, I'm But Mario Cristobal is...
Yep, they already did. They
yes.
did.
Can confirm reports.
Malaki, he's a great recruiter, obviously, and he's owned the portal with 3 excellent quarterbacks in a row. He owns the portal. But everybody forgets, in 2017, I think it was, Mark Richt had the number 2 ranked team in the country.
No, they were number 1.
So my point is, the U is back, unquestionably, but now it's about sustainability. Now it's about not having the 3-loss season.
That wasn't this, okay? They were number 2, and if they'd beaten Pitt, they would have been number 1, and they lost against Pitt. But we all knew that Stephen Morris and all of that was bandages and nonsense. That's not what we're talking about now.
Right.
4 first-round picks. 4 first-round picks, first of all.
Yeah, that's debatable. It'll probably be 3.
Okay, but still, when's the last time they had a couple of those on the same team, never mind the same pass rush? The thing about the formula, to me, that is impenetrable is They're now dropping seasoned quarterbacks who want to play into the professional cauldron of, do you want to get better? It's better for you here than it was at Duke. Duke's actually won the conference and we actually haven't. Doesn't matter. We're the place where the first-round picks go. We're the place that's going to get you to the pros. We're the place that the quarterbacks want to be. You want to know why? Because we got a number 1 pick in Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Because Carson Beck has just flown up the draft here when we watched him play big games for 4 years, the last of them at Miami. They just got a quarterback that they know is good, even though we don't know how much the surrounding talent around him was good at Duke. We know now when Malachi Toney is your number 1 receiver, but you get to go and steal the guy who's got chemistry to make him your number 2. Like the guy he's got chemistry with, he played with all of last year. You're just dropping him into a receiver's room that didn't really have a number 2 last year?
Everything you say is undeniable and nobody's arguing about it. My point is, right now they're dealing with expectations moving forward that they haven't dealt with for a quarter of a century. They have to win now. The expectation is torqued up. The pressure is torqued up. They're the betting favorite to win the conference ahead of SMU. So now the expectation is win the ACC.
It's going to get easier now, though, Greg, because the hard part's done. Greg, what do you mean? Greg, what do you mean? The hard part is done. It's getting the first-round picks to choose your school. Once you prove you can do that, everyone wants to get to the money. Like that, the problem that they had for 20 years is the first-round picks weren't either being developed here or found before they were first-round picks. Now it's not refutable.
One of your chief concerns, if I tell you last year's team, national runner-up, great season, they lose. I think it's going to be 4 first-round picks. Keontae Scott's pro day was outrageous, and I know people that are at the coaches' meetings right now, and he's certainly a buzz about name. You lose 4 first-round picks. Naturally, the worry is, how are we going to replace these guys? That's not my worry. When I go to practice, we got the guys to replace these guys. The problem is going to be replacing that mentality because those 4 first-round picks were absolute psychos.
Mario Cristobal would not agree with you that the hard part is done. The hard part is living up to expectations, sustaining expectations, winning a national championship. They're on the precipice. They haven't done it yet.
Greg.
You can't assume.
You're both right.
You can't assume that the arc is
You're both right. Mario Cristobal will say this is a unique challenge, and trust me, he's talked to other coaches across sports how to deal with this. And look, we got 40 of these guys weren't on that team. They have this expectation. But respectfully, the hard part was digging this program out of where it's been for the last 20 years.
And you say no doubt, but you just argued with it. Like that, you are really underestimating. Okay. Mario Cristobal comes in for 4 years, $90 million, and everybody says, what are they doing? What are they doing? They're making a $90 million down payment on, nope, we're going to play in this every year. Like you're going to know that we're going to compete for this every year. Why? Because the pros play here now. Like that is, you say, what's the hard part? Winning a national championship is hard, but I can make the argument with 4 first-round picks. You underachieved. Indiana doesn't have 4 of those.
They might have 3. People like to do this thing with Indiana. Yes, not as talented as Miami. Plenty of talent.
Okay, but Miami had a bunch of first-round picks one year and got beat by Ohio State, who didn't have a bunch of first-round picks but had 14 players drafted. Not a bunch of first-round picks, but had a bunch of pros on the field. Indiana's older. My point is that you just played against the team that had the best college resume in the history of the sport for the national championship. And you now have what Lane Kiffin said Alabama had every time they walked onto the field, which is you walk onto the field and you're like, our guys are all bigger than theirs. We have, the whole thing is built on, for all of the guys that we're talking about being drafted, okay? The whole thing's built on we're going to be more physical than you up front. They haven't even gotten the skill guys there yet. Cam Ward was one of them, but they haven't actually gotten the receiver room, the tight end room.
That's the one place. That's the one hole on this team that I see. That and who's going to be Jacoby Thomas, who's going to be Keontae Scott, who's going to be Ruben Bain, who's just an absolute psycho about winning. We'll see how that plays out during camp.
You're saying the one hole is in the tight end?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Greg likes it.
You think that digging them out of the hole they were in for 20 years, that there's something harder than that? Because they were trying for 20 years to dig out of that hole. Once you get to that game and are the number 2 team, the leap from there isn't a very large one. Like,
Right.
you now expect, you say expectations are a different thing. You now expect UM to win the conference. You now expect UM to play a playoff game.
Yeah, I do. And you got to live up to it, though.
But do you know
That's
how
all
different
I'm
that
saying.
is? But do you know how different? Do you know how hard it is to get that? Like, they've gotten to that. And Mike was at spring practice, and Mike can be lightheaded about these things because he said Carson Beck looked better than Cam Ward last spring. But what did you see? Did you see an appreciable difference in what it is you're watching now versus what it is you were watching 3 years ago?
Yeah, over 3 years ago. Like, I've been to practices at Green Tree since the Mark Richt era, and I've been lightheaded, and I've not known the way that it's supposed to look. And now, borrowing off my past experience, I think I've been pretty level-headed and also pretty right about the University of Miami. It looks a certain way, the same way that it did last year. There's not a talent drop-off. If anything, the talent across the board has gotten better. You hear me? It's gotten better despite losing 4 first-round picks. I would say, you know, the biggest challenge for this program isn't even having success in the CFP anymore. It's winning the conference, something that they haven't done. They've only gotten to Charlotte once.
I've told this story before, but it's interesting to see Mike have the perspective from the other side, where you're watching what UM has been for 20 years close up on the field, and you're like, I don't think that looks how it needs to look. And then you see what the pros look like, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what I missed. My first time in a locker room, the guy I'm talking to is Jerome Brown. The first guy I'm talking to who's a fellow student is a human being who's not a student. And that's my introduction to what this is supposed to physically look like. It's taken 20 years for Mike to see the players on the field that now look like professionals.
Right. Yeah, especially on both lines. You're entirely right about that. They're bigger and...
This is a new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
Okay, so we got a bear here stumbling around. You see that mirror to the left? He's like, oh, this is weird. There's a lot of weird stuff here. Oh, my God. I just saw myself. Ah! He's like, ah, get out of here. So that's how I imagine a bear would react if they saw Jeremy in the woods.
But that's what they would do to me.
It's really screwed up to do that to a bear, honestly. He's just like not expecting, just like having a nice stroll.
Right.
And just, we'll watch it one more time. This is good fun. Good, clean fun right here.
It really is.
He's just like, oh my God.
And then he's going,
He was definitely
a good-looking bear.
Definitely scarred from that for a few months.
Who puts a mirror in the woods?
It's weird.
That's my question.
How did it get there?
It was probably for the internet video. They probably did that on purpose.
Yeah, but you're messing with bears. I mean,
It's not right.
leave the bear alone.
Who would do something for the internet visually like that with
Yeah,
a bear?
imagine that.
What are the chances there was a camera right in front of it, too? Jeez.
Ridiculous.
Small world.
Greg, it was interesting. A bunch of people agreed that you had a weekend where the Eagles lost, the Niners lost, so no more undefeated teams. 72 Dolphins could celebrate. But a lot of people saying the Dolphins were the best team in the NFL through 6 weeks. And so I know you're impressed with the offense. Hawk was in here yesterday, Andrew Hawkins, Tomahawk Podcast. He said that Tyreek Hill is the best player, non-quarterback division, in the NFL. And I agree with him. The Dolphins are overwhelming. I'm not certain they're not the best team in the NFL right now, Greg.
I think they are at this minute. They're an underdog in Philadelphia, but only by 2.5 points, which is very interesting. Definitely they have the best offense. I think it's the best offense in Dolphins history. And when I write that, I get a lot of criticism. Too soon. What about this? What about that? Look, the Dolphins won Super Bowls with Larry Zonka because they ran the ball better than anybody and barely passed. They were as exciting as ever and broke NFL records with Dan Marino because they passed the ball like nobody else, but they didn't have a great running game.
Right.
Now they're doing both. They can run the ball like crazy. They lead the league in rushing. Raheem Mostert has 11 touchdowns in 6 games. And Tua is everything they thought he would be when they drafted him number 5 ahead of Herbert. Tua is the favorite in the MVP odds right now.
Should be.
With great reason.
Yep.
And I just think this is the most dynamic, well-balanced, inventive, exciting offense I've ever had.
Can we end the debate between Herbert and Tua?
Yes.
Is it officially over?
Wow. Yes.
Someone's making a noise. Where's the noise coming from? Not. Tony's not ready.
Oh, yeah.
Can we see Justin Herbert without Brandon Staley? At that point, maybe with a better coach, I'd be intrigued.
We're going to ask that question about Justin Herbert for his whole career, right?
Yes.
We're just going to keep asking, like, oh, but what if he was with a better coach?
Oh, always.
He has the most unbelievable weapons, too.
Just like now, C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young are always going to be compared throughout their career.
But Herbert's been in the league, 4 years? And if Staley gets fired and he gets a new coach, it will be his 3rd coach in 5 years.
No, it's a shame for him. He's a really great quarterback, but I guess it's the way that we're constantly doing these comparisons between the two of them when one of them is not only winning, but breaking all of these records statistically and having a spectacular season. Obviously, like, the system has something to do with that. It would be crazy to say that it's not Mike McDaniel in some capacity. But also, different quarterbacks fit in different systems different ways, and Justin Herbert has his flaws that maybe wouldn't work if he was just in the system. I think there's so many people saying, oh, well, if Herbert was in Tua's spot, it would be even better. I have no reason to believe that's the case.
I have something that's probably not popular, especially down here in Miami.
Oh, boy.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is here, start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is here, start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is here, start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is here, start of the day.
Luka Dončić had more points in the month of March for the Lakers than Anthony Davis had his entire time with the Mavericks.
Nah. One more time?
At first, I thought you were going to say with the Lakers. I would be like, that would have been crazy.
No. But if it's feeling that way. But one more time?
Only 10 players have ever scored 600 points in a month. Luka went for 40 again last night, and so he had more points in the month of March, more than 400, than Anthony Davis had in the entire time he was with the Mavericks.
Now you see the vision.
Weird.
So basically, what you got back for Luka Dončić didn't score as much as Luka Dončić just scored in a month for the Lakers. What you got back for him, it's why it'll go down as, the worst trade in the history of the sport. That said, though, and I knew Luka was good. I think we all knew Luka was good, but this? Like, what is this? We all knew he was good, but the idea that he's scoring right now at Michael Jordan levels, Michael Jordan's greatest season, the year Michael Jordan averaged 37 in a season, correct? He is doing, over the last month, Michael Jordan things offensively, where it's just an unstoppable offensive thing, even though he's always been an unstoppable offensive thing. And one of the reasons I find this so cool and interesting, kind of quietly, while Steph and LeBron are still around, they've handed over the league to the other guys. Like, the other guys have taken the league, where you're like Jokic and SGA and who's next. And it's
Wemby.
They've been able to transition out of that in a way that's been pretty exciting, because the offensive play is so good and we love offense so much.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is those guys are still great, right? It's not just that the transition has started to occur. It's just that the transition is occurring without them having the drop off of like, oh, I'm just the seventh guy on this bench trying to get my 10 points a night or whatever. So that's the really cool part. But yeah, Jokic. Dončić. Maybe I'm desensitized. There's no part of this that's shocking to me, and not even the Anthony Davis part, because again, That's what made it a bad deal. It wasn't a bad deal because in retrospect, wow, it really didn't work out for the Mavericks. It was a bad deal on the day it was done because we knew your concerns, Nico Harrison, were with the durability of your young superstar. So why would you go out and get an old superstar who also has durability issues?
We're in the midst of the most unpredictable run in the history of NBA basketball when it comes to champions and title contenders. It's been, for some, maybe too wide open. That's really good now with these players coming online and developing to the point that they are. Because as Dan mentioned, you have some of the old guard, Harden's with the Cavs, Durant's going to be in the equation with the Rockets, LeBron's still there, but you have these young new faces. I wouldn't necessarily count Jokic there. He's a multiple-time MVP and he's won an NBA championship. But you have these faces of these franchises that are all really good teams, and all the sport needs really at this moment in time is an exceptional playoff. I think we're going to get it too, because these series, the way that it's mapping out, looks like they're going to be hotly contested. That is going to be so huge for the sport at this point in time.
Yeah, look, the playoffs are going to be great. You look at the Eastern Conference, the difference between, 3 and 6 is a game and a half, 2 games, or whatever. You look at the Western Conference, between 4 and 7 is the same situation. So we're going to get hotly contested playoffs right from the first round. And I think what we have better than great players is we got 2 guys who have personalities, Victor Wembanyama and Anthony Edwards. I think that's when we talk about handing over the reins, Dan, you need a personality to carry it because it can't just be cold, quiet, calculated efficiency. Tim Duncan couldn't handle those reins, not because he wasn't good enough as a player. He was an amazing player, but just he didn't have the personality.
Oh, but you don't need all of them to have personality. You need 7-10 guys who are great that we're going to have an interest in to go up against the guys with the personality. Larry Bird had quiet personality, but he wasn't. We can go back throughout the history of time here. The fact that we've got 9 guys that are competing for best in the league, and the fact that they are one-upping each other while trying to win the MVP trophy, that Luka is playing the best basketball you've ever seen, him shooting 40% from 3 during the stretch when everybody's trying to stop him and doing it for that franchise. I want to ask you for your expertise on something, though. The Lakers stink at defense. They do. They've been better recently because opponents are shooting 32% from 3, but it's not because they're guarding them any better. It's weird. People are shooting poorly against them, and furthermore, where they have gotten better, and this has helped their defense, they're turning the ball over a lot less. And so the numbers going the other way on fast breaks against old guys are not – that has not been happening over 3 weeks. I have said for a while that team can't win the championship playing defense that way. I still think so. I think it's a bad stretch of shooting. But can they fix that? Because if they can fix that, and you've got Luka, you've got the things you need to win a championship against an OKC or anybody else. I just think they're bad at defense and are going to be bad at defense in the playoffs.
Now, when you say can they fix that, is this an April Fool's thing that we're doing here? Because if so, hold on. I have my friend here who'd like to chime in. Blah, it's me, Fibula, and yes, of course they can fix it. I love this day.
Now you're going to tell me who Fibula is on the front end to telegraph your joke as you announce who you're impersonating, the lying vampire.
Does April Fool's Day have the same kind of juice that it has for you in the past? Because
I think every day is.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been approaching the internet as if everything's been fake for close to a year now. So April Fool's Day, you got to work harder than that. It's crazy how conditioned I am now. We are so cooked because I don't trust anything anymore.
We killed April Fool's Day. I think everyone is on guard every day now. I approach the way the internet, the way you'd approach like an electric socket with your hand wet.
I don't trust anything on any day. I have to run several searches to get 3 sources to back up what I'm seeing. I'm scrutinizing everything because everything AI is so advanced. Everything appears real that April Fool's Day is just a Wednesday.
I love that Mike just said, I have to go look for multiple sources. Yeah, that's what you should have been doing the whole time. That's the thing I've been saying this whole time. It started with all these fake, like, breaking news. Klay Thompson is getting bought out and he's signing with the Spurs.
Adam Schefter.
Yeah, I'm like, guys.
Barry McCockiner.
Yeah, it's not that hard. Like, wow, that's pretty big news. Let me see who else is reporting it.
Yeah, I think you're talking to, like, the audience. Like, I've known this. Like, as soon as the blue checks were just a free-for-all, like, we've been on our toes right now, like, especially for a show like ours, like, trying to suss out what's real and what's fake. But I gotta say, like, I think post-truth has really killed April Fool's Day.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Has April Fool's Day been killed? Because I think that happened quietly, but I think it did indeed die. And we will be talking later in the show to Brett Ehrlich. Mike Ryan was very excited when he heard he was going to be on with us about what Twitter has done and what Elon Musk has done specifically to that algorithm to bleep with democracy.
Yes, and that's what the intention is. This is hugely intentional for you to not know what's real, because then the defense of fake news, it holds water because so many different things are fake. This is absolutely intentional. Billionaires love this post-truth age. They have actually built it and perpetuated it because they love this, because they can easily see, like, where'd you get that on the internet? No, that's not real. Because nothing is real. You don't know what's real anymore.
Sure. Well, you don't know what you're talking about.
Sure, that's all cool, but have you guys seen the merging between American and Japanese Twitter over the weekend? Did you guys see that? Nobody?
No.
Nobody saw that? Okay, so they started putting on people's timelines Japanese tweets from people in Japan in Japanese, and then they would translate them to see what they were saying. And dude, they love us, and we love them. What? It's been the biggest, like, what was it, Predator, where they had the handshake?
Dylan, yeah.
Okay,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
that's been the biggest thing for the Japanese and American relation in the longest time. I have a couple tweets that I want to put up that were translated onto my timeline. Can we put up the pizza tweet first? So it's a pizza tweet. Somebody puts up a piece of pizza that has little tiny pizzas as toppings of the pizza. What? Yeah. So you've never seen that before? Pizza Inception. So this is a uniquely American thing because I don't think anybody else really has that somewhere. And somebody in Japanese wrote something, and then it was translated to, when I saw this pizza topped with a pizza in America, I thought, there's no way we can beat these guys. They have a bunch of great stuff like this. Put up the honky tonk love. Japan loves honky tonk culture, Dan. Did you know that? They love grilling meats. They love barbecuing with the boys. Look at this. I'm going to put this up on the screen here. Just a bunch of guys just hanging around, grilling a bunch of steaks. I used something that's kind of small to see. If I had to choose between American men and meat, I'd love to see this photo. I want to participate in this event in person someday. Somebody in Japan seeing a barbecue saying, you know what? I want to be a part of this.
Is it possible that, Tony, you're getting April Fooled right now?
No, this is 100%.
You're saying the internet is bringing us together between Japan and America.
Correct.
Just mere weeks after our president insulted
you guys
the
were worried about the
entirety
wrong
of the
stuff.
country,
Yeah, you guys were worried about the wrong stuff.
By saying no one wanted
are,
a surprise before Pearl Harbor.
You're right. Yeah. Again, you guys are worried about the wrong stuff. I'm talking about pizza on pizza, and somebody saying they can't beat us because we have pizza on pizza.
They don't have charcoal in Japan?
Of course they do. They do beautiful charcoal, beautiful barbecue in Japan.
So why are they astonished by the idea of people grilling steaks?
Because just the community. The community of honky tonk, the community of Southern culture in America, they're fascinated by it over there because they don't really have that.
Okay.
Thank you for that sound, because I want to talk about what's real and what's not real, because I had an argument with your dad, Chris, during the break where I said to your father, do you realize how loud your stomach is? And he's like, my stomach's not making any sound. And I'm like, Greg, you're having nothing but coffee for 16 hours. You haven't eaten since 4 o'clock yesterday. You're drinking 2 thermoses of coffee.
Yeah, a little bacon as well.
That sound is your stomach, and it's gurgling. And Greg said to me, straight face, he's like, I didn't hear anything. My stomach's not making any sound. And I'd just like to put this on the poll at Le Batard Show. When your stomach has growled, do you always know it? Because Greg is so used to his stomach being in turbulence that he's not hearing explosive sounds made by his stomach. Look, Greg, we're not making this up, okay? Because I cued your son.
Explosive sounds.
Greg, listen to this. This is not altered in any way.
Yeah, right.
Greg,
that's a pig on a farm.
Greg, I'm going to give you you have the context for it, Chris, or you just have that? That is
I just have the isolate. I'll get the longer version.
Greg, that's absolutely you, and I'm telling Greg.
Fake news. Speaking of fake news.
You tell him, Greg.
I have it as a frog.
Really? It sounds like a pig. It's a snort. That's a snorting sound. Quit that. Quit doing that.
Fibula is so limited. You tell him, Greg. You're the you can do it guy in Waterboy as a lying vampire. It's such a limited impersonation.
You mean to tell me that you don't feel a rumble at all?
No.
Wow.
Rumble.
I think he has lived
wrestling?
in this kind of discomfort for so long that he is almost completely numb to it. Do you guys remember when former UFC champion Daniel Cormier was on with us and his alarm, the alarm on his fire alarm kept beeping because the battery was dead? And
The smoke detector.
The smoke detector. Thank you.
Alarm of the fire alarm.
Thank
Yes,
you.
The soundtrack to many recruiting interviews.
When we're trying to talk to Daniel Cormier, we said to him, hey, you got to get that battery fixed. And his response was to you guys can hear that too? Because I've been hearing that for months. Where is that sound coming from? He doesn't hear his own stomach make these sounds because he's been living with these sounds for so long that he's numb to them.
No, nobody hears their own stomach.
Greg, your stomach is making these kinds of sounds. If you don't hear it, you should at the very least feel it. That kind of sound has to come with a physical feeling that's running through your stomach.
No, I like when I have dancing swords, I feel that in a lower region.
What
of the
number's that?
stomach. It may make the list.
Ooh,
You're not
a
sure
little
yet.
tea. There you go, Dan. You wanted one.
We'll see. Souffles in the oven.
What number's that?
That's callback. Right
No,
there.
he's right. He's right about that.
Thank you.
I wanted to get to, and I'm too late in getting to it, a news that was, I would say, fairly unusual yesterday, even though all of us could have seen it coming. It has been a really long time since Tiger Woods was a meaningful, competitive golfer. He exists in an area unlike most others who have ever played games in that he was so dominant, and in his sport, people can win old, that there is a large contingent of people who move the ratings in golf because they think he can still win when he can't. This has been the case for damn near 15 years. But that hope keeps him so relevant that when he goes to rehab, even though it's not unexpected because all of us were shouting some form of, somebody get him help, he needs help, Tiger, please get yourself some help, because everyone was seeing some of the symptoms of addiction when you keep turning over your car and the police find pills on you and you've already turned over your car in the way that almost made you lose a leg. And I've been talking about the 7 back surgeries and the pain of the 7 back surgeries. Can you look up how many leg surgeries he's had as well? Just because I imagine if you guys have ever talked to anybody who's had, never mind minor back pain, but just chronic back pain, and now multiply that by whatever is 7 surgeries, and I'm going to guess he's had 15 leg surgeries as well. This guy has been medicated for a long time in order to do what he still tries to do because it's who he is, but can no longer do that way at all because his body has failed him.
Grain of salt with Google AI overview, but 5 knee surgeries, 2 Achilles tendon procedures.
We just talked about this, Mike. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm in live programming, and that's why I couched it.
Don't go
I'm
Google.
trying, like he's in the middle of a point
I
that
get
you're
it.
interrupting.
How did you receive the news, Greg, when you saw something that I think we're all made sad by? But I have not talked to your son about this, who's a golf fan. I believe, and I know riches make it so that it makes it very hard for people to absorb what I'm about to say. I believe that Tiger Woods is a prisoner in his own body, and that body is racked with pain, and his life is far less lovely than we imagine it probably could be with all of that money and access.
I have an eternal fascination with Tiger Woods, and I have for 30 years. I think he's one of the most interesting athletes and post-athletes in my lifetime. I think Tiger Woods is still the biggest thing in golf, even though it's been 4 years since he's played on tour with any regularity because of all these injuries. I wish him well. I'm glad that he's taking care of himself or appearing to make an effort to take care of what has been a pretty obvious problem of his for years.
Do you think I have this wrong, though, in citing as unusual how unusual the hope is that a 50-year-old, this guy's close to my age, that a 50-year-old still, hey, he can win the Masters. Golf guys can win when they're old. That hope makes him a still relevant athlete. It's more relevant than just about anyone else going to rehab outside of LeBron. Like in American sports, in American sports, we talked about Steph Curry and LeBron giving over the league. Tiger still hasn't given over golf. The numbers spike every time he does anything.
If he were to play, and he won't now, I'm sure, if he were to play in the Masters next week, the TV ratings would be up 20%. And if he made the cut and played on a Sunday and was only 3 back or whatever, it would be like a major deal.
Let's talk about, though, the lack of precedent for what it is that you're witnessing. An athlete in his 50s is supposed to be washed up. This is someone who, I don't know, how many years are we from what is the relevant playing career of Tiger Woods? The merit-based excellence. How long has it been since Tiger Woods could reasonably be considered to possibly win a tournament?
He won the Masters in 2019.
So it's been about that long.
And it was an incredible comeback story that had everyone glued to their television.
That makes people think that he could do it again 6 years later.
Right.
It's the possibility. And you see that in golf in a way you don't see it in other sports. Up until a few years ago, Freddie Couples had a reputation of being the old golfer who would really rise in the majors and make a cut and be...
Freddie Couples at the Masters getting people excited. Dan, you remember Tom Watson at the British Open?
Yes.
I just texted the PTI guys, just texted them. You know what I miss? The people who produce PTI. You know what I miss most about all things ESPN? That first round Thursday of the British Open when I could talk about Jim Furyk in the A block.
What a repulsive tournament to look at on TV.
Did you text them all together in a group or like individually?
It was a group
Do you have all the shows by group text, like the Around the Horn guys?
Is it titled PTI guys?
How grateful were you for Tom Watson? He gave you 3 days.
He did. Tom Watson gave us a run. Whenever Tony and Mike would take off, I'd get stuck on that Thursday with talk for a minute and a half about Jim Furyk. Make it interesting.
Unique swing.
Lead the show. Give us all you got on VJ Singh.
VJ!
The thing about this story, though, that really resonates for me, okay, this is a strong man weakened by humanity, by frailties. We've done the pop psychology the last couple of days of trying to please your dad, buried in an unmarked grave. I urge you all to watch the HBO Max unauthorized documentary, because Tiger did not participate in it. It's 2 parts, and it's pretty exhaustive and well reported. Much like Tom Brady had 2 Hall of Fame careers, Tiger Woods has had 2 careers. He's got everything before the public adultery and then everything afterward and how it is that we absorb him. And it's 2 generations of information, 2 of them totally different. One is prodigy, excellence. His dad did such a good job. Look at the robot he made. He's on Merv Griffin as a child. He was programmed for this. This was going to be, he made all his dad's dreams come true. He must be so happy. Then the next 20 years for an entire generation of, oh, that used to be Tiger Woods. He's got his demons. Those are all things that we haven't quite seen of our Michael Jordans and our Tom Brady's before, where the temptations grab you and they range from sex addiction to loneliness to drugs and now painkillers because what you do physically hurts. And the torque of swinging that way with a bad back means that every single morning you wake up and where the hell are the meds? What do I need to do? Not to feel high, not to feel low. What do I need to do? It's not, I can't even get to the highs anymore. What do I need to do to not feel low? And you're the greatest champion we've known. Like, think about what that is to age. However, remember I told you guys the story of, this was, God almighty, 25 years ago. I told you guys the story of feeling sad for Michael Jordan while in China because I'm like, you used to be the symbol for all the globe on what youth is, and I'm seeing you struggle up the stairs of the Berlin Wall. That must be tougher to age like him.
Would probably
I'm sorry,
be the Great Wall.
I'm sorry, the Great Wall.
Yeah.
My bad.
They knocked it down, Dan.
Although I wouldn't put anything
won there.
past MJ.
That's right. Thank you.
Dan, I don't think you should apologize.
Aging when you've been that great at something.
I love that you're trying to have an aging conversation when he makes the Great Wall of China with the Berlin Wall.
Right. It's a bad mistake. I realized that as soon as I did it. The Berlin Wall, it'd be strange if that was in China.
It would. Be a trade walls.
The thing that I find
Speaking to the mic.
interesting about everything happening with him is that he's suffering. He's suffering at the end of what could have been his life in a couple of these accidents.
Yeah, and he's never quite retired either. It would be one thing if 5 years ago he went out on top after winning his last major in 19, but he hasn't. He's still hanging on. And among the fascinating things I find about him is that he's gone from the peak of excellence to the ultimate underdog, and those are the two things we love in sports, the best and the underdog. And he's that underdog right now. If he played the Masters next week, nobody in his right mind thinks he's going to win, but the possibility is still there of him in a red shirt on a Sunday, and that's enough. I root for him. I am a homer when it comes to Tiger Woods. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope he has one more major in him, if not to win it, at least to be in it.
This part is interesting, though, the way this stuff changes, because I think that Patino was somebody who had a lot of people rooting for him in this last tournament. It is an unusual thing.
That's my boy.
It is an unusual thing for us to bury someone when they betray us with what their public image is, and then at the end sometimes come around just like human beings on forgiveness and being someone who roots for Tiger Woods. Because I just remember the specifics so much of when he cheated on his wife, he lost so many of you with what it was that felt like betrayal. Like you thought you knew that guy, and he did something that even though you know men can't be trusted, he did something that made you feel betrayed on what his public image was, because you were force-fed for 20 years by Nike and everyone else, by his dad and everyone else. This is the prodigy. He's going to save the country club. This guy is perfect. He's a robot of golf.
And now he's the face of fallibility. The guy in police mugshots. It's just such a spiral his image has taken that you root for him. I do anyway. You know, he's wildly imperfect, and that makes him interesting to me.
It's interesting how few golf fans I can think of that have, like, turned on Tiger. They all seem to kind of have that take.
At the time, though, Chris, like now, sure. At the time, man, it was a massive scandal, and especially as we found out the details, it's not just, oh, he cheated on his wife. It's like, this guy was banging waitresses from Shoney's, man. Like, that was the part where everyone was like, whoa.
Perkins.
Yeah.
Probably Shoney's too.
It's easy to confuse it too. But yeah, in the middle of that PR storm, it was bad. He got out of it. Why? Because he has an adoring public. Beloved.
Yes.
He's beloved. Fortunately for him and others, he hasn't hurt anybody, which was the easy stance to take on this, which is you're going to get somebody else hurt. All right? You're dealing with your demons. Don't take somebody down with you. He hasn't done that. He's only hurting himself right now and his family, and he can dig himself out of it, and he's got the support of everyone, including the media. Everybody likes Tiger. Hell, the media needs Tiger. The sport needs Tiger still at this age. He's in a good spot to get right.
What an unusual, interesting thing, though, to remember the specifics of this press conference that he did in front of a blue screen in Orlando. The reason I remember it is because there was so much howling around him because we had seen some threads of his private life come out in public, and he was a womanizing hound. The braying betrayal of howling at him made it so in front of that blue screen in Orlando, after hearing people be like, give us an apology, explain yourself, what the hell is this? He's holding his mom in front of us, and I'm like, why did anyone want this? We wanted this, we wanted this, we called for this, we wanted this, and now we're watching it. Ooh, we didn't want this. This doesn't feel good. From that point, whatever the frailty and the fallibility is in it, he gets to go in the most unusual way from conquering hero to fallible human being to the support of everyone being like, we're rooting for you, Tiger. And it helps him not at all at the core of the physical pain. Never mind the emotional pain. The physical pain of he gets up every morning and where are my pills? I need more than I've ever needed because I've had so many surgeries because my body, and I'm still out here trying to be the guy I was because I need to please my adoring public. I need to be the guy my dad thought I was. Like, I need to keep being out here competing because without competing, who am I? I'm just a guy popping pills. I gave my entire body over to all of this, and now I can't stop taking the pills.
Yeah, when you carry 2 pills with you on the road, that's a definite indication. I wonder about his mental health. I do. I wonder if he's had therapy. I know he, early on, when the only person he owed an apology to was his wife, he claimed a sex addiction. I wonder if he has had work on his mental health. I know he says now he's going into therapy for presumably the pill addiction, but maybe he needs something beyond that.
I guess when I ask you for your support or whatever it is on seeing the human parts of what Tiger Woods is as an immortal, the mortal parts of the immortal, it's just this. Imagine every morning you get up in the morning and your back is just killing you, that you can't move around and function because you need another surgery. You need an 8th surgery because they cut you open and they can't fix it. Like you say his mental health, I'm talking about his physical health because people who are in this kind of pain do harm themselves. They think about harming themselves because that ends the pain.
Yeah, but we assume right now that he's in constant pain.
How could you not, though, is what I'm saying. How could you not? If he doesn't, if the culture of sports is and the culture of men is, don't tell anybody about how you hurt.
Right.
Just hide that. Don't tell the public. You're part of a marketing machine. You are many economies over. Don't go out there and tell anybody you got a pill problem. Don't go out there and tell anybody how broken you are physically because that's weakness. There's nothing about anything that rewards him being vulnerable in public. Nothing.
But I'm just not assuming he's in constant pain. I would just as soon assume that maybe he's over-medicating himself. Maybe he's taking pills for pain that isn't really there. I have no idea.
I think he gains a lot by being vulnerable in public. Like I said, everybody's rooting for him. So that'll just make people hold their heart and go on even more.
But he hasn't been.
No, he could buy more by being vulnerable, but very clearly this is a dude that values his privacy.
This was the last stop, right? Like, he didn't have any more get-out-of-jail-free cards without using the, hey, I'm going to go seek help. He's never said I'm going to go seek help for any sort of pain pill or DUI or anything like that. Like, this is the first time we've seen it.
He's been embarrassed in public before, okay? And I don't know what the pressures and hardships, because he's never revealed them. He does not talk about this stuff. I don't know. He was burned in the first interview he ever gave. He was in the back of a limo with Charles Pierce. He made some sort of lesbian joke, and then the whole machine shut down around him. Like at the very beginning of his career, he never said anything interesting again. He was never himself again in public, not one time ever. He was always, tell me if I have this wrong, Greg, just marketing robot for Nike.
Yeah, right. The Michael Jordan aesthetic. where he's not going to say anything particularly interesting or anything to damn himself.
But, yes, of course, what you guys are saying is part of the rehab tour, if what he cares about is the optics and the business of being Tiger Woods, because it's a giant business. If that's what he cares about on how this looks, yes, of course, he sits down and talks about all of this. But we've never seen it in his career. Like, the fact that this guy has been in public for 30 years and the dirt is what you know because you don't really know anything else about him. You know the upbringing, you know the story. The darkness was revealed to you by accident. He didn't ever want any of that seen, still doesn't. Goes to rehab now to avoid the embarrassment of it because there must be great shame in all of this.
Right.
You know how we say all the time there's no shame in needing help? No, wrong. He's only seeking it now because there's shame in needing help.
But yet, overriding all of that, what we do know about Tiger Woods is the excellence that is virtually unparalleled. And beyond that, in a way that Jack Nicklaus never did, he revolutionized golf. He opened the doors to people of color to be interested in golf. And I think that's a generational thing. That lasts. That's his legacy to me. Isn't just the 15 majors, it's that he revolutionized golf.
Dan, I've got the solution for Tiger Woods, right? So we've been talking for 3 days now. Tiger, just get a driver. And he's like, no, I don't want a driver, my privacy and all that stuff. And we've been fighting. Like, how do we figure it out? I got the solution. Waymo. Get Tiger Woods a Waymo. Now he don't have to worry about drivers and privacy or anything like that. And he's not behind the wheel.
Your solution is to put Tiger in a car that is literally surrounded by cameras.
I must admit, I did not think this through.
He should build his own Waymo. That's like, this is mine.
Your solution.
That's an idea, man, right there, folks.
Your solution.
How much just for this one? I want it forever.
A Waymo with no cameras.
Even Mo.
So you're telling Tiger Woods the solution for get a driver is get a car that doesn't have a driver.
That's right. Don't know why I showed up. Hold on.
It's very limited. Fibula is a very limited impersonation, and I'm here for him being here the rest of the week. I want to get to a story that I've not been able to get to because I miss Angel Hernandez. I know you all like to complain about the officiating and umpiring, but we have in CB Buckner somebody who is angling for being the greatest of all time at being the worst of all time at umpiring. The things going on with CB Buckner right now make him so that he is the rare baseball umpire that makes his way out of the sport into now I just associate him with incompetence.
Yes.
An umpire that a name I now just associate like Angel Hernandez with. This guy's going to get it wrong in ways that are publicly embarrassing.
This guy is just my hero. It's now, you have to tune in whenever CB Buckner, he's behind the dish tonight. Last week, he made news for missing multiple calls, having a bunch of challenges go against him, the crowd cheering like anytime he got it wrong. And last night, he was at first base, so a little appetizer before today when he's behind the dish. And he just flat out, a runner running to first base, clearly touches the bag. And then Buckner, they end up tagging him, and Buckner's like, he never touched first. So he's out.
Well, you can see the evidence here. I want to get to the audio, but please put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Douche or no douche, saying behind the dish.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it's douche, and I love doing it.
I know you love doing it, and every time you do it, it's monumental douche.
I can't disagree with that. Buckner is the baseball's most notorious Buckner since Bill.
He's right about that.
Thank you.
He had that lined up. Like, he got in there. He jostled in there and got in there with a joke. Really?
Yeah. There wasn't a great on-ramp for that joke. I probably should have held it a little bit.
Yeah, but you're not good at holding jokes.
No, I'm not.
I want to just get to the audio, please, of the announcers. Just don't understand. We just showed you the video of clearly the runner has touched first base.
And the Brewers broadcasters just let CB have it.
So the call from CB Buckner is that Jake Bauers missed first base. And I think that is a horrendous call. Where is CB Buckner looking?
He's not even looking at it. Why would he even say that?
CB Buckner was not even looking at the play.
He stepped right on top of first base. I'm not sure what CB Buckner's looking at there. That's ridiculous.
Well, I'm really excited for him to have the plate tomorrow.
He's safe. Call's overturned. Milwaukee retains their
That's just a waste of time reviewing that.
At least review is available so you can get it right.
Yeah, no kidding. Everybody laughing at that call.
It doesn't make any sense, though. Like
he's clearly looking away. In the photo we have where he's clearly on the bag, you see Buckner just looking in an opposite direction.
Yeah, like the umpire at Grayson's game last week that I argued about.
Yes.
Same thing. If I'm there, I'm yelling at that umpire. That's part of the beauty of sports, by the way. We love the imperfection.
We covered this on the Greg Cody show. My dad, I was mad at him because he was 10 feet away screaming at a coach pitch umpire.
That's part of the charm of baseball.
No, it's not. Not when all the other parents are looking. All the other parents are looking at me like, who's this old guy that hasn't shown up for anything else yelling at the umpire?
The umpire yeller, old yeller. But
the exact opposite for me.
I just
It's
can't
made football amazing.
Like I'm watching. No, it's great, but I'm saying it's ruined the rest of football for me. Like I can't watch just a single game that's not the Dolphins. Like if I tune in, it's the third quarter. It's like I don't know, 14-9 or something. I can't watch it. I'm
the
like, this is
Patriots
boring.
option doesn't do it.
Well,
for
I'm
you?
like, why can't you guys just score? I don't understand. Like, why does it take you so long to score? Why can't you just score in 3 plays in 45 seconds? Like, what's going on
They
here?
spoiled you. I mean,
This doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. Is that what Iowa is like? I can't imagine watching Iowa football.
No, we don't score that much.
That's crazy. Why
Billy,
not?
they won a game 15-6 over the weekend.
But why don't you just try having everyone go in motion
You
and
guys should score
throwing the
more.
ball? Yeah, why don't you just score more? Just get all the fast players in
Get
the
those
country.
tight ends running early.
Yeah, why can't you just do that? I don't get it.
there have been so many seasons in the past, so many Dolphin seasons in the past, where if they're behind 14-0 in the first quarter,
right,
the crowd is leaving. Everybody's giving up.
The game is over.
The game is over.
Tua was laughing on the sideline after they scored the second touchdown, and I'm like, whoa.
Right.
Because I thought they were going to come back, but I'm like, I don't know.
That's supreme confidence.
He
You
was
know what?
smiling after the second touchdown on the sideline.
When they were behind 14-0, they were still, you know how the odds update now? Christopher pointed this out to me. I didn't know it. When they're down 14-0, they're still a minus 200 favorite to win the game. There was no doubt. And it wasn't just because Carolina sucks, which it does.
Right.
It's because the Dolphins' offense is, until somebody proves otherwise, almost unstoppable.
And like 5 years ago, we were watching Jay Cutler throw passes to Devontae Parker.
Right.
Like that was supposed to be the height of excitement of the Dolphins offense since Dan Marino.
Yeah, amazing.
And now it's this.
So this is the best offense. That's saying a lot considering Marino, Clayton, Duper, and that offense.
And here's some Shakespeare as
All right.
done by the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. We've stolen the exclamation point officially from Get Up. It's put after the word show.
So this is Act 1, Scene 2 of Macbeth. The stage instructions are: a camp near Fours. Alarm within. Enter Duncan, Malcolm, Donalbain, Lennox with attendants, meeting a bleeding sergeant.
I don't even know what that means.
Jessica, you will play the role.
All right, so wait, can we set the scene? Thank you, Mike. Can we set the scene, Mike, from high school? Can you give Chris Cody his motivation on, because he didn't even understand what Whittingham.
Am I happy?
Like what?
Am I like,
Sergeant is
distressed?
bleeding.
What,
Okay.
In what
You're distressed.
condition does the distressed? Okay, very good. Good confidence there. Let's have the music that we need, Shakespearean music, and let's see if we can find our note here.
What bloody man is that? He can report, as seemeth by his plight of the revolt, the new estate.
This is the sergeant, who like a good and hardy soldier fought gainst my captivity. Hail, brave friend! Say to the king the knowledge of the broil, as thou didst leave it.
So true.
Doubtful it stood as two spent swimmers that do cling together and choke their art. The merciless MacDonald, worthy to be a rebel, for to that. The multiplying villainies of nature do swarm upon him from the western isles. Of kerns and Gallowes glasses is supplied, and fortune of his damned quarrel smiling. Showed like a rebel's whore, showed like a rebel's whore, but all's too weak for brave Macbeth. Well, he deserves that name, disdaining fortune with his brandished steel, which smoked a blood with bloody execution.
What? Yes.
Like Valuor's minion carved out his passage till he faced the slave.
I feel your distress. I really do.
Which ne'er shook hands nor bade farewell to him till he uniseamed him from the nave
Rolling. Don't let them deter you.
to the chaps and fixed his head upon our battlements.
O valiant cousin, worthy gentleman.
Ah, as whence the sun gins his reflection.
You missed your cue.
Shipwrecking storms and direful thunders break. So from that spring whence comfort seemed to come.
Wait a minute. There wasn't a question mark there.
Discomfort swells. Mark, King of Scotland, Mark, no sooner justice had with valor armed.
Oh, you think you're done?
Humbled, these
Compelled.
These skipping kerns to trust their heels.
Not compelled. We need compelling.
But the Norwegian lord surveying vantage.
Which is it?
Furbished arms.
Vintage or vantage?
And new supplies of men.
All right, we've
begin a fresh assault.
We've tested his endurance.
Not this. Our captains, Macbeth and Banquo?
And scene. Folks, listen up. April 7th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Le Batard Show YouTube. It's the Cheap Seats 305 Equinox. 3 games, 1 stream, no plan. Dan will be there. We'll all be there. It's going to be a lot. And it's presented by Never Miss Your Shot Golf.
You said that fairly breathlessly. I'm hoping next Tuesday Greg Cody stays here all day to be a part of that. 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 305 Equinox. It's basically something that we're doing with Never Miss Your Shot Golf because the Panthers, the Heat, and the Marlins are all playing at the same time. And we're going to start popping up every once in a while in different formats like this to give you bonus shows, extra shows, and do stuff like this a week from now, a week from today. I see that Trist is here. Juju has had an emergency. We will talk to him later this week. But you can watch Trist on the Alley Oop on DLS Hoops on Tuesday and the Le Batard YouTube channel on Fridays, as well as Good Follow on Thursdays on the Good Follow YouTube channel.
Not a week from today. Just want to clean that up. April 7th is a Tuesday. So Tuesday, we will be doing the Sports Equinox.
You know what? My bad. I saw Greg Cody, and I thought it was Tuesday, and I forgot that it was Wednesday. So thank you for that correction. I've got a number of things to get to with Trista, but I wanted to ask her and Amin both if they were interested in the last place where good sports documentaries are being made. Untold has Lamar Adam and Trailblazers, and I didn't know whether you guys were interested in either of those stories, one more than the other.
Whoa,
Jailblazers, baby! Come on! There's a lot of people who say that the Jailblazers were the worst period in Trailblazer history. I think for me in my childhood, it was the best.
Dan, I would not classify Untold as the last place where great sports documentaries are getting made because most of these untold stories are glorified PR pieces for the people who are being covered by them. I always will go back to that Tim Donaghy one where it was just like, hey, we're just going to publish all of his lies as told by him and pretend that it's real. And so I've always since then looked at these untold stories with a massive grain of salt. Like, I don't know how much of this I can trust. It's just the subject telling us their side of the story.
Well, Trista, that's a good correction by Amin. I should have said where the last of the good ideas are going, because everybody's been trying to make that Jailblazers documentary for about 15 years, and the only way they got it made probably is because they sanitized it. So, Trista, what were your thoughts on what Amin just said?
Well, I think we'll know that the fix is in if we do not showcase the weed that they got caught for bringing in through the airport in a ball of tinfoil. That's like the peak Jailblazers, or when they got stopped going from Portland to Seattle, or maybe Seattle back to Portland, and they got pulled over. If those stories are not told, then truly the fix is in, because those are the things that were huge in the lore of the Jailblazers in the Portland community, and we kind of hold them near and dear to our hearts.
Jaden Ivy's story, Jaden Ivy's mom being the Notre Dame women's basketball coach. What were the most interesting parts of the Jaden Ivy story to you?
Well, the thing that's kind of crazy to me about it, and that we talk about, hey, we don't want to hold parents, we don't want to hold children accountable when their parents go crazy on the internet, like Flage's mom, right, was like, hey, it doesn't matter that South Carolina beat LSU. My daughter's still winning on the court. And we don't feel like Flage should be responsible for what her mom is saying. And I wanted to kind of get you guys' thoughts on whether we should hold or at least ask questions about those that are parents in the public eye when their children that are in the public eye say wild things. Because Nell Ivy is the women's head coach of the Notre Dame team, which is a Catholic university. Jaden Ivy clearly said some things about Catholicism, but Notre Dame in general has been had some circulation or some rumors around homophobia, where Olivia Miles, who I'm actually wearing her TCU jersey right now, transferred out of Notre Dame and did not go to the draft and went to TCU because of, I don't know if it was her issues around Hannah Hidalgo and some of the comments that Hannah Hidalgo made, where she reposted a Candace Owens post about men and women are the only ways that you could have a marriage. But now I'm questioning Nell Ivy, is how does she feel about some of these things? And nobody's asking really Nell Ivy what she thinks. And now Jaden Ivy says that his wife is not returning his text messages and his family has betrayed him. So I think it's just interesting when you talk about a kid in the public eye when their parent is a coach of a university as well.
All right, we talked about this some yesterday, but can I talk about it more plainly now? Do you guys feel like sports is equipped in any of these instances to actually just deal with an episode when families aren't equipped, mental health professionals aren't equipped? No, but when you're having something, when you're having a situation where a guy is melting down in public and throwing away his career as his family tries to intervene, but no one can talk sense to him. That's like classic diagnosis of mental health episode if we were able to do this just watching it on television.
Not just sports. I think very few places in American life are equipped for this, unless you just so happen to be around a mental health specialist. It's a very difficult thing, and it's not a broken arm, It's happening between the ears. It's a very difficult thing to understand, and we're sorely lacking in that.
You can't rescue this person.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. How do you rescue this person?
I was just going to say, like, you can have mental health issues and still hold bigoted ideas. And like, you can still have hateful things and beliefs that you hold. And it's a matter of how you package them and how you frame them and whether you want to vocalize them over and over and over again. I think it's clear that Jaden Ivey's having some sort of manic episode because he can't get off of Instagram Live. It really feels a lot like Antonio Brown to me when he just continues to do that CT ESPN thing. But it still is something that you can't really say, oh, well, Jaden Ivy is just mentally ill, so everything that he is saying, we're just going to, like, sweep under the rug.
The thing about this, though, Trista, that I keep coming back to because I lived it with my brother, I don't know that I articulated this well enough to people yesterday when I say that my brother became someone that I did not recognize. The height of a manic episode is everyone telling you you're crazy and you looking back and saying, no, I'm the only one who's right. Everyone else is crazy. And that's how you lose everyone. The manic bulletproof episode, never mind the bigoted ideas, just where you lose everybody is, no, the world's priorities are wrong and mine are correct. I'm being wronged here by a bunch of people who have this all wrong. That's what the episode is.
Well, Trista, this is also complicated because, there's a culture war going on, and he's dishing out takes, and many people are making him a victim or applying their own political prism to it. I mean, this happens in basketball. Kyle Singler had this going on. Kyle Singler was a better pro than Ivy ever was. And he wasn't playing anymore in part because of these episodes. Ivy, to an extent, is being given more grace, and he probably should because he finds himself with unlikely allies right now, Trista.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I think at the end of the day, what you guys didn't discuss isn't just the fact that he was displaying anti-gay ideals and like that the right wing wants to jump on that, but you can't mess with the money, right? And at the end of the day, the league and the program is bigger than any one player. And you guys said, oh, if he was a better player, I think he'd get away with this. I don't think if you're somebody that's even on the level of Steph Curry or Damian Lillard, if you just keep pestering your teammates and keep preaching and keep asking media, have you been saved, and going on rants and raves on Instagram Live, the comp is Antonio Brown. Like that, he was the best receiver in the league and out the league very, very quickly once he started those manic episodes and started becoming so unpredictable that it was bad for the Shield, bad for the money, and like nobody is good enough to be bad for the money.
To me, part of this whole story is how wide open is your personal life if you're a public figure, as relates to Jaden Ivey's mom. Trista, if you're covering a Notre Dame game and in the post-game interview, are you entitled to ask Jaden Ivey's mom about what he's saying and that situation, or do you consider that to be off limits?
That's such a good question, and I almost feel like I should be asking you that because I was never trained as a journalist. I think my skill has been that I'm a blurter and I ask very inappropriate things, and my mind goes to a place where it's past the limits of probable journalistic professionalism. I asked AZ Fudd about something I saw in her open duffel bag, and she's like, oh, not you just looking in my bag and asking me about the book inside of there. And I think that's probably borderline. My instinct says it depends. If Notre Dame was in the Final Four right now, would I feel comfortable asking her about it? I'd be comfortable texting someone who was also in that locker room to ask her about it. I don't know if I would do it, but I do feel like we should at least get her thoughts, considering that Olivia Miles left the program. And a lot of the reason that people said that she left the program was because she's an out lesbian and she didn't feel comfortable being in the environment at Notre Dame for whatever reason. She goes to a Christian university that is apparently more inclusive and welcoming to her and her lifestyle. And Hannah Hidalgo has come out and said, well, I am not a homophobe. Like it was just a misunderstanding. If Nell Ivy's in that locker room, I kind of do want to know, or in that press conference, I kind of do want to know, like, where do you stand on this issue? Because your own son is so fervent in being anti-gay that, and this all has happened around your program. Like, I just kind of want to know, like, where are you at on it? Is that wrong, though, Greg? Like, what do you think?
No, as a journalist, I think they're both grown people, okay? And it's newsworthy for all of the reasons you say. And so I think in a post-game news conference, it's okay to tread very carefully in asking the mom, how are you dealing with why Jaden's in the news right now? Now, if you're dealing... I'm very curious how Charlie Woods is dealing with his dad's latest problem. I'm not sure if I would ask Charlie Woods that because he's still a teenager, I think. So some of it depends on age and the level of public.
But what is the responsibility? Because we are talking about, look, sports is supposed to be a place where all this stuff gets sussed out in all the ways it gets sussed out. What is her responsibility as public voice and face of a team in a sport where they also have had a number of anti-feelings from the public because this is a disproportionately gay league? And so all of this stuff merging together, what is the responsibility of the journalist and the coach here?
I think it's to ask the question. Now, the coach is very entitled to answer the question as a mom might and say, this is a family matter.
Yeah, but that's not what she's asking about. Trista's not asking, how do you feel about your son melting down? That's not the question. Not how do you feel is not the question is, how do you feel about gays in your locker room? How do you feel? She's asking, how do you present this question in a way that's journalistically responsible, but also gentle because a mom is in the middle of a public thing that's really uncomfortable.
And they're intertwined, though, those two things. They're intertwined. You're asking the mom, the coach, that question because of her son and because of her own locker room. They're intertwined, and that makes it doubly newsworthy, in my opinion.
Dan, this is very reminiscent of the Tim Hardaway interview that you guys did years ago. I think one of my early conversations with you was about that interview and not knowing that you guys were the interview where it happened. But it's just a question that has nothing to do, although obviously it's spurred upon by the actions of her son. It's a question about, hey, this is something, and by the way, in the NBA, in men's basketball, it's still kind of a taboo thing. That's not the case in women's basketball. So I think it's totally within bounds, within reason to ask that question of her, not only because of what her son just went through, but also because of the situation with the player who transferred out.
Trista?
Yeah, and I think, Greg, the question in framing it is, if you say, how do you feel, then she's going to come out like a mom, and if she answers at all, and say, we're doing our best, yada, yada. But how do you ask it in a pointed way where it's like, we want to know where you stand on having gay players, especially considering there's other coaches. For example, Kim Mulkey has been rumored, or it was reported that she basically turned her back on Brittany Griner and told Brittany Griner, we don't want to hear about how gay you are or not. And it would be better if you just stayed away from the team. You had your time. We loved you at Baylor. Like, you don't need to come back. That's something that clearly is happening with coaches and their players. And that's something that there is whispers and rumblings about within Notre Dame. And I almost feel like it's a possibility that it was never Hannah Hidalgo that was the reason that Olivia Miles transferred out, and that maybe it was Nell Ivy instead.
This kind of stuff needs to be asked about. These questions need to make their ways into all of the uncomfortable corners. It's the job of journalism, no matter how uncomfortable that is, to get at truth, whether it's uncomfortable or not. Dan
Even
Hurley,
if it's irrelevant?
Irrelevant?
Is it relevant in the moment? Irrelevant in the moment?
A whole lot of people are arguing right now that sexuality in general shouldn't in any way be relevant to anything that's in this arena. That it doesn't, that none of it belongs here. But to ignore it is to ignore the uncomfortable truth of why the hell is Christian Wilkins not in the sport? Why the hell is this happening at Notre Dame? I want to move on to other stuff here, though, because Dan Hurley is saying that he thought the referee was trying to chest bump him. If you did not see the end of this game, it was amazing for a lot of reasons, including Dan Hurley, half his jacket was over his shoulder in the celebration. This has to be among the most improbable wins that Dan Hurley has ever been a part of. And at the end, he is forehead to forehead with the referee, and that should probably be a technical in all other circumstances. Dan Hurley's explanation that he was just chest bumping, he thought that the ref was coming over to chest bump with him, seems sarcastic. Trista, should there be a penalty here? How is it that the joy of this moment is such that people are ignoring that it feels like Dan Hurley kind of headbutted a referee?
I think it's the opposite. Truly, I think it's so many people who have lost the plot of Dan Hurley, who are so upset with his antics that they don't fully appreciate how good he is for the sport. The fact that we have moments that are probably infinite when it comes to Dan Hurley as the head coach of UConn. He's going to give us gold for the rest of his career. We can do 15 minutes just on a headbutt. He's a madman in the best possible way. And I think because people are upset with how he talks to refs, the way that he's pushing his players back on the court, the way he says, oh, we got fucked after they lost to Florida last year. It's one of those situations where I feel like that's an incredible moment. And the ref saying, oh, yeah, no, there was nothing to see here. We were just celebrating, or whatever the ref said. I think that's hilarious as well. But also, I just want to spin the block because this is who I am. Like, I told you guys about UConn before they lost to St. John's. After they lost to St. John's, I said this could be a wake-up call.
She's
a victory lap?
She's learning how to be Kornheiser and Wilbon. Remember that thing I said I got right? I told you guys about UConn as if she wasn't shitting her pants the last 15 minutes of that game.
She did tell us about UConn.
A team that's gone to 3 of 4 Final Fours and won 2 championships back-to-back and has a potential for a third?
That 000's hit the clock. The referee is technically off the clock now. Can't he just be like, yeah, it was kind of awesome. This sport's really cool. Can you imagine what we do for a living? How amazing is this? Yeah, I'll see you next game.
A little Chris Gatling with Sean Kemp. Dap him up.
I think that's what that was. Like, yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm glad to be a part of it. He can't do that after the game?
0.3 seconds left.
Come on.
There's always these refs in like AAU leagues and rec leagues that do that. I don't like that, man. Like they're all like, oh, that's a hell of a move right there with the whistle half in his mouth. Like,
I love that ref over at courtside.
You can't be like Billy Crystal and forget Paris and do the 3 and high five Reggie Miller on the way out. Come on. It's sports. It's awesome.
What Trista is saying there, though, that is cool because you do really have to sort of appreciate the history here, at least a little bit, right? This conference hasn't been something that mattered the way that it did in the 90s when the coaches dominated college sports. And now you have Pitino as the second highest paid coach in the conference, second only to this most amazing career from a college basketball creature unlike any we've seen. Billy Donovan did not behave this way.
Dude, this is insane. We are not talking about Dan Hurley and UConn with enough reverence and respect. We're not. This is an insane run. He's already had a better career than Tom Izzo. It's been 26 years since Tom Izzo won a national title. He can win 3. He can win 3 national titles in 4 years. We were talking about it, Amin. Like, what's the comp on this kind of run? This Final Four run?
Wooden.
It's John Wooden. It's John Wooden, Trista.
Yes. Like, I think Hurley will go down as the second best college coach of all, maybe third after Coach K. But like to pop in this level and to have this type of dominance. And I think the thing that we have to put it into context around is the NIL era. Like Wooden and Coach K, for the most part of Coach K's career, these players were staying at Duke. These players were staying at UCLA. These were the blue bloods. Dan Hurley is having to refresh this roster in a school and at a place where everybody's for sale. And Dan has a lens. He has a type of player that he recruits. I swear, when I'm going to bed, I watch Dan Hurley clips and interview bites. I am his biggest fan. I think what he has done in the NIL era might be more impressive than any college coach in history.
And also, this is a guy who on this show we interviewed talking about the Lakers job where they offered him 6 years and $70 million to coach LeBron, AD, who would have coached Luka, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good." And we were like, "Wow, that's kind of weird."
I'm troubled by Trista's nighttime behavior. I'm troubled by her just checking press conference clips. It's too much, Hurley. Come on, get yourself together.
It's always nighttime.
And some magnesium lotion for the feet. I don't know if you guys have tried doing that, but I did that for the first time last night. Put magnesium lotion on. I was out like a light, gentlemen.
I do that.
That is good, actually.
Oh, wow. Am I 70?
Yeah. No,
Did I
do
just
that.
find out I was actually 70?
There's no way you put lotion on your feet.
No,
those feet. Lotion on that feet.
Trista, have you seen those feet? Are you familiar?
No.
Oh, my God. All right. We're going to put one of these dinosaur talons on the screen for you here in a second.
No, we don't have to.
He doesn't
There
ever
it is. They have it at the ready.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
One of the photos they always
It
have at
looks
the ready.
waterlogged.
Yeah, former foot model.
Look there, that's better. That's Nosferatu's foot. If I told you that right there
like a
was
dinosaur.
It doesn't go flat on the ground.
Rex.
That foot doesn't go flat on the ground.
If I told you that is the foot of the demon angel that is Nosferatu.
Dan, in Teen Wolf, the first thing that used to change was his nails, and it looked exactly like that.
Wait a second. That foot doesn't go flat on
It's
the
like
ground.
the beast. It's like the way the Beast in Beauty and the Beast stands.
Look, this picture is perfect for a number of different reasons. Most of all, that one. It's not just that's the talon of a giant bird of prey, a gargoyle of some sort. It's that foot is levitating because it cannot touch the ground. The weight of the nails, the yellow jaundiced nails in the front, make it so that it cannot be flattened.
And the beautiful thing about this is, Trista, do you have any reference point to what is next to that foot?
No clue.
Okay, so if we were to zoom out, he's frying a turkey in front of his garage.
Hot bubbling oil is the answer to Tony's question. What is near that bare foot? And the reason, just so that we're clear about this, the foot is not afraid of the burning oil. The burning oil is afraid of the foot. Be clear on this.
It's an impenetrable skin. I was worried he was going to JPP his own foot and it would actually make the foot look better. But no, now that you say it, it makes more sense because that's the hoof of a devil.
That is a good question by Trista. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Would Greg Cody's foot look better if he only had 4 of the toes? Because it would. If I lopped off that big toe, I've made for a foot that is not only more hygienic, it is less of the devil's foot.
Trista, I apologize for all of this. I'm sorry you had to see that.
But my wife does do that, and magnesium will help you go to bed at night. That is something that is a universal truth. I did not know that it was something that was a universal truth on your feet, though, Trista.
I didn't know that you guys were such hippies, Dan. That's such a hippie thing to do.
Yes.
I'm proud of you for evolving into the new age.
I like to be able to sleep better. That is something that I crave. You don't have anybody beating Gino Auriemma in the women's tournament, right? And is this the best team he's ever had? Because he's had plenty of giant, overwhelming teams, but he hasn't had giant, overwhelming teams in a competitive era.
He says no, and I think he would probably say, because he loves Paige Beckers like his own child, that the Paige season, that roster was better, because he just came out with some quotes, I think either yesterday or the day before, and he was like, we shouldn't be this good, which I think is kind of a whack thing to say when your team is still playing. But yeah, when you're 38-0, and you're coming off of a title, and again, putting it into the context of the NIL era, which I know is a bit different on the women's side, you could make it out to be the most dominant UConn team, but I think you have to still look at those Taurasi years. And those are the ones where they were really smacking everybody.
But the sport wasn't as competitive, though. There weren't as many good teams.
Right, but at the high end, look, you could argue we got 4 number 1 seeds and an historic point differential for the number 1 seeds to make it to the Final Four. I do think, Trissa, it harkens back to a time where there were like 3 top dogs. It always seemed to be Pat Summitt versus Gino.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that's what is going to have to change in the sport as more and more good players come in. But listen, like Juju Watkins tore ACL. She was out all this year. I think she probably could have played in the tournament, but she doesn't want to lose a year of eligibility. They now have the number 1 overall player coming in to USC. So they have Jazzy, they've got Juju, and they've got Sanaya Hall coming in. So USC is coming, and I think that will add a little flavor to things. I think maybe what we saw from Notre Dame, where we get some transfers. But listen, like TCU was in that game against South Carolina. They just didn't have the depth. They didn't have the physicality. And when Marta Suarez went down with the tweaked knee, that was really when
Gone. She's gone, and that's how that has to end. We will talk Trista. We will talk to Trista the next time.
Oh, she's back.
You can watch Trista on the Alley Oop on DLS Hoops on Tuesday and the Le Batard Show YouTube channel on Fridays, as well as Good Follow on Thursdays on the Good Follow YouTube channel. That is it for Trista. She gets one bad connection and she's gone. I actually wanted her thoughts on Tiger Woods. I wanted her thoughts on why it is she's wearing that TCU jersey, but that's it. I don't trust her connection anymore. And we're live, and we got to keep the show moving. So if you want to keep her in the corner,
back to Greg,
complaining and yelling, but I got to ride the hot foot, I got to ride the hot hand here. We have not had enough Greg Cody in the show today because you cannot get enough Greg Cody in the show. Zaslow, his nemesis, is not in this week because allegedly he's skiing, and he has said that he would send us videos of him skiing, but I'm pretty sure that Zaslow, who knows nothing about the winter, does not know how to dress for the winter. I'm guessing he hasn't sent any videos because he has failed to realize that there are some times that you can go to a place to ski and not check the weather and realize that there's not snow there. And I'm guessing that's what's happened to Zaslow here because he wanted to be a part of the show this week. He was going to send videos. He hasn't sent videos, and I'm guessing it's because he's ashamed because he has failed at skiing. He has chosen a resort community that does not have snow.
Went on a ski trip. He can't ski.
He's not a skier, Zaslow.
That is a
Come
funny
on.
visual, him skiing.
It is. It's an impossible video. Zaslow's the kind of guy who would buy the outfit.
He's the kind of guy.
Rent skis and take a photo of himself on the ski lift.
Are you profiling?
And never ski.
I'm pretty sure he does ski. I think
No
that's
chance.
why he was going.
He's not a skier.
No chance.
You see that
big ass head?
I'm with Dan. He has regularly through the years skied.
Well, I mean, it's probably a fake.
So what are you doing? You're profiling him based on just looking at him? You're saying that he can't be a skier because I'm pretty sure if you go on a skiing vacation. Now, maybe I've got this wrong because I think most skiers know to check the weather before they go on a skiing vacation. So maybe he is a real amateur here because it's a foolish thing to do, to plan a ski trip at a time that's the beginning of spring when maybe some parts of the country don't have the kind of snow that you want in the mountains.
Do you criticize people that book a trip to Miami and then it's raining? Like, you book these things months out. You hope the weather.
I go to wine country. It doesn't make me a vintner. You know, I mean,
I don't know what that has to.
Just because he goes to where there's skiing.
So what's the allegation you're making?
That he's not a skier.
Okay.
The fraud.
Yeah.
So you think that Zaslow went on a ski vacation, but is not a skier, was just going to meander around the resort.
Be photographed on the slope.
Near the muffins.
Right.
But, okay, we'll find out.
He's drinking a hot toddy in the lodge, that guy.
Near the muffins.
In the lodge, a hot toddy. He's having a hot chocolate in the muffin. He's there to put on the ski cap and to go and get the hot chocolate and the muffin in the lodge and to take a couple of photos to show everyone in South Florida that he's skiing when, as college football's expert for ESPN Radio, he travels to cold weather places and does not have the clothes because he's been dressed like a beach bum for as long as I've known him.
And there it is, right? Like, that lays out why it's preposterous that he's a skier. He doesn't even own a jacket. Come on, man.
Yeah.
What, he's been skiing in T-shirts and shorts his whole life? Get out of here. The guy's a fraud.
Zagacki.
He is somebody who dresses like it's always spring break. He does not have the clothing in his closet to go to Wisconsin for a college football game, but he was doing that this season. I just want, for the record, what the accusation is because why would you go on a ski vacation if you weren't going to ski? That sounds dumb.
Wow.
Well,
I mean, I'm sure he probably wanted to ski, but the way that your favorite topic is global warming or whatever, there wasn't enough snow.
My dad went to Colorado and just did a bunch of gummies.
There you go. I mean, maybe that's a whole different story.
You're the kind of guy, though.
I am the kind of guy.
Wait a minute. You're a guy who does gummies since when?
Well, when in Rome. I mean, when in Denver.
This was back when Colorado was like the only spot you could go.
What? Since when do you? I have not heard any of these stories, and to date, Mad Dog Russo is the only one who has crossed the journalistic bridge too far of I do gummies while it is that I'm watching sporting events. I did not know that Greg Cody was a gummy user. Now we're here. It requires some follow-up questions.
Well, back then, you walk into everything's legal there. I mean, I didn't do anything illegal. I'm walking into a place, one of those places, and
dispensary.
A dispensary, and I buy a little tube of gummies.
Did you do it correctly? What was Greg Cody's riding high experience on gummies?
I will say that it was.
Dan, he put him up his ass.
Yeah,
no, he didn't do it right.
He didn't do them correctly.
No, did he do too much?
He was handed gummies, and he's like,
I know how to take a gummy, believe me.
Okay, listen.
Why was
the question? The reason I am asking the question, I thought I had told you guys this story, and I I have just heard a number of different stories like the one I'm about to tell you. Okay, I made the classic rookie mistake of
went in for another one.
This gummy's not doing anything. It didn't work. Let me have another one, not understanding the first time that I was doing this, that you should be waiting 40 or 45 minutes. So when I asked the question of did you do it correctly, it's not because I thought that Greg Cody arrived at the dispensary and then decided to try the gummy anally. No. While I enjoyed you guys pantomiming the idea of putting a thermometer up your butt, no, it's not because I thought Greg Cody
No,
had
it was the actual gummy that they were putting up, not a thermometer.
Whoa! Sour.
In fairness, the tube of gummies did not come with directions. Okay, it's just like the.
It is not an unreasonable question for me to ask if Greg Cody's first experience, or if this was his first experience with gummies, was something that he had done incorrectly and might birth a funny story.
Yeah, you just said it strangely. I do think, unless you're around people that had bad first-time experiences and coach you along the way, take this much. Most people kind of overdo it their first time.
Well,
I know I did.
I took advantage of my uncommonly large nostrils by trying to snort the gummy. That didn't work. Okay, that didn't work. And so then what I did, this is a true story. I took
Not the snorting part.
I took a gum. No, not that. I took a gummy.
Let him cook.
I took a gummy, and like you, I thought it would be instant. It wasn't instant. I popped another gummy. We're going to dinner about an hour after that, and let's put it this way. I ordered about 45 appetizers at that restaurant because by that time the 2 gummies had kicked in, and woo! That kind of thing. Haven't had a gummy since.
So the answer to my question is you did do it incorrectly. As everyone in the group just jumped down my throat.
No, I mean, he did it the right way. He just did too much.
Yeah.
It's the way you asked, right?
Yeah.
Not what you asked.
You
the
said
way
it
you
weird.
asked.
You asked like someone that wasn't human.
Right. Yes. Thank you.
Like someone that wore human skin,
Men in
trying to learn things about
Fire
how
alarm,
humans
fire
do
sensor.
things.
I'm just wearing human skin. Aren't we all?
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. I'm just wearing human skin, aren't we all? Question mark. Yes or no?
I feel like we've all been there, right? Where you take too many edibles, and you're just like, whoa.
I had to make the decision. Am I going to call for a helicopter or am I just going to die here? And I decided I'm just going to die here, and I didn't die.
See, I didn't have the thing where, like, Dad, when you did it, you just got really hungry. I did that thing. Remember when you were in class sleeping in high school and you would, like, feel like you're falling off a mountain?
Yeah.
Like, where you're sleeping in class and all of a sudden you think you're falling? That kept happening to me. I was sitting at my father-in-law's movie premiere, and I was just and I just kept feeling like I was falling out of my chair. This was 3 months ago.
Don't do gummies or any edibles on an island. That's only accessible by boat.
I really thought that somebody was going to ask the follow-up, why would you have needed a helicopter? I thought somebody might have the question when you volunteered it, and I thought everyone had heard perhaps that you already had said you were on an island?
No, it was a hoity-toity resort in the Keys that's accessible by boat. There's no bridges there. So if you were to get immediate attention, you would need a helicopter to come in. And I didn't want to be that guy on account of MJF gave me this chocolate bar that was way too strong.
I just want you picture-in-picture to look at the video that they keep putting up there of what it is that you were doing.
I didn't give permission for that. No, that's not. No, that's not right. That's the last time I try to help you guys with sight gags. Please take it off.
Hold on.
Please take it down.
If you play it in reverse, it looks like he's wiping his ass and then sniffing it.
Yeah. Thanks. Not doing that anymore. Honestly, screw you guys. That's not cool.
Learned your lesson.
All because Dan said something weird. And I was trying to, make chicken salad.
I just heard, shouted, and it sounded like somebody desperately holding on to a buoy at sea against waves where he was about to drown. But far away from a microphone, I just heard Lewis scream, "We're efforting!" the reversal of that video to make it look like you just wiped your butt and then put it up to your nose. So there is a complete panic now in the other room where video wastes a great deal of time and money, and we have blown through the clocks because we have to finish this segment on the visual joke of Mike reversing the video so that it looks like, and I don't trust video when they yell "we're efforting" and it sounds like they're lost at sea. To get the punctuation on this joke at the end of a segment that alienates the audio audience because we're trying to get to the visual joke of we're efforting. Now we're stuck here. No, now we got to finish and get the stupidity of video has made the judgment call of this is a good idea. We have to blow through the clock so that we can get the visual joke that upsets Mike. So now we're just going to wait here until this happens.
I can fill for a second. Guys, DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, is built for March. The tournament is unpredictable, but the rewards are guaranteed. And DraftKings is delivering some of the most generous rewards in the market. New to DraftKings, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code DAN. That's code DAN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets instantly in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is
now
yours.
I just have to sit here and wait for them to finally find that video. So I'll ask Amin what Mark Cuban said, where he now regrets not selling the Mavericks, but who he sold the Mavericks to, because as we said earlier in the show, Luka has more points in March for the Lakers that Anthony Davis had for the Mavericks in totality. Greg, what are you trying to show me as I try to transition the show to Amin? And you're showing me something on your computer to read while I'm talking.
I have a valuable update here. I just Googled the phrase, will a marijuana gummy taken anally produce an effect? The answer is yes. A marijuana gummy taken rectally will produce an effect, but it will likely be different from eating it with a higher rate of absorption, 50 to 70% efficiency, and a faster onset, usually within 10 to 15 minutes.
So a suppository.
That kind of thing.